Hey guys, this is Jesse Peone with the Salem Business Journal podcast. I want to thank Spirit Mountain Casino and Collier Law for sponsoring the podcast. Appreciate you guys. And with me, I have
Dean Chambers.
Dean. I can see you're a veteran.
Yes,
And you served in the Air Force.
I did.
How long were you in?
I was in for 4 years. Got out right before the first Gulf War.
Oh wow, that was a while ago.
That was a while ago. Yeah.
Yeah. How was your time in the service? What was your rank?
I got out as an E4, which at the time was a buck sergeant. Now that's more or less a senior airman. Things have changed a lot in over 30 years there.
Yeah.
I was essentially an electronics technician.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. What have you found? What was your favorite part about being in the military?
Oh, I think it was probably just the camaraderie and the sense of belonging.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And, and that's something that with a lot of veterans gets missed when they separate from the service. And for me, I missed it and didn't really even realize that I was missing it until I found groups like SOVA, like Team Red, White, and Blue, like other like Wounded Warrior, those sorts of folks. And, you get that sense of belonging with an organization that is devoted to something that you can relate to.
Yeah.
And that's primarily what SOVA is out there to do, is to connect with the veterans that need help. Maybe they don't know they need help, or maybe they don't know where to go for help. And that's something that we can help with.
Well, I think that's something that because I've always kind of wrestled with the idea of serving in the military. Right now I'm too busy with this stuff to,
Right.
I got to be able to leave in order for me to be able to do that.
Right. It is a commitment.
Oh yeah. Yeah, for sure. Well, and if you do it, you want to do it well and you want to do it right.
Exactly.
And also like a lot of my friends, I have a lot of friends though who have served, and what I've learned from a lot of them is a lot of them came back kind of, fucked up in the head. And I've just from talking to them as a friend, it's kind of like a lot of times they didn't know where to go or who to talk to, especially as a guy. It's really hard to, talk about things like that. And so what I've heard from them is like some of these groups of like other veterans who have been through, the same shit, from some of these groups that have been through the same stuff. It's helped them be able to process what they went through and, find that camaraderie that you were talking about.
Right. Just talking to someone who has the perspective that you have.
Yeah.
Goes a long way towards bringing someone out of their shell. I mean, veterans tend to self-isolate. They don't, we're supposed to be tough. We're supposed to be warriors. So we don't ask for help. Asking for help is a sign of weakness. Well, it's really not. And the idea behind some of these organizations is to break down that wall and get those veterans out interacting with other veterans or non-veterans for that matter.
Yeah.
Just anybody. It just really helps try to intercept that issue that the veteran is having before it becomes acute.
Mm-hmm. And what's the organization that you're on the board for?
It's Serving Our Veterans at Home.
Mm-hmm. It's based out of Salem?
Serving Our Veterans Home is based out of Salem, but it covers, basically the Mid-Willamette Valley. So, anywhere from, McMinnville, Newburgh down to Albany or whatnot. So it's basically the Mid-Willamette Valley.
Yeah. So like Marion, Polk.
Marion, Polk, largely that's what it is. So we work with the ODVA and the VA and the Vet Center down.
Mm-hmm.
Stay Alive Vets, which is an organization that is trying to reduce veteran suicide, which is a fairly large problem, and has been for quite some time.
Okay, fair enough. That sounds like a huge task to take on, because the veteran suicide rate is pretty high, from my understanding.
Yeah, 22 a day is what we say
across the country.
Across the country.
It used to be a lot more.
Probably.
Wasn't it?
I'm sure it was, but I think that number 22 is an average over time.
Okay.
And I don't think it's changed much. So we still have a lot of work to do there.
Dang. What do you think is the biggest driver of that?
I can't really speak to that, but I know that isolation is a big factor, or feeling isolated, perhaps feeling like there's no one there to help you, like there's no hope for anyone understanding what you're going through.
Yeah.
And the truth is, there are a lot of people who understand what they're going through.
Yeah. Well, I think that's one thing. I mean, I know that I have a tendency to do that. Like whenever I'm going through stuff, I'll usually disappear off the face of the earth for a little while.
Right.
And I found that, especially with like a lot of veterans, that seems like a typical way to approach, trauma.
Yes, it's very typical.
Yeah.
And, it doesn't, and while they may think they're being strong, the reality is that, it's hard to do that alone.
Yeah, for sure. And so you guys have an event coming up on the September 2nd.
That's
that right?
Yep.
Now, tell me a little bit more about this event.
So this event is what's called a stand down. And a stand down is just a gathering of veterans to be with other veterans and learn about the services that are available, and also provide some services right on the spot.
That's pretty cool. And it's happening right here at the YMCA.
Right here at the YMCA.
In town. Yep. And what services are going to be there?
So there'll be some classes on finance. We have a section that's doing haircuts, as an example.
Do they cut mullets?
They'll cut any kind of hair you got.
See, if you guys want a good mullet,
yeah,
come on down to the stand down.
Yeah. Mullets are coming back, I've heard. So.
Oh, yeah.
There's dental services, medical services. There's also all the organizations that I've mentioned earlier, like the VA and the ODVA and ARCHES and those kind of unsheltered services.
Yeah.
And also other veteran services. Those folks will be on hand because navigating, a government organization is sometimes pretty difficult.
Oh, it's so difficult.
And so there'll be people on hand to help with that.
Yeah, I mean, just to give you a little perspective, I mean, I think like when I was homeless, like I didn't know any of these existed, right? I didn't know about the Salvation Army. I didn't know about UGM because like, how would you know? You're just homeless. So it's not like you're involved in the community or like if you're truly homeless, it's not like you're on Instagram watching, following other homeless services. You have to like hear from other homeless people that it exists in order to do it. And then like if you're someone who's trying to get off the streets and not stay there, like at least for me, I wasn't trying to associate with a lot of them because I wanted to get out. And I knew that like if I got in the same headspace as a lot of those people, I wasn't gonna, I would just stay where they're at. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so like I feel like it's kind of hard a lot of times to get the message out on a lot of these services and what they actually provide without like it's hard to reach the right people. You know what I mean? So do you guys find what kind of people is this event for? Because you have ARCHES there. You also have dental services. You have haircuts. Is this tailored a little bit more towards veterans who are homeless or are near homelessness or like are kind of struggling? Who should keep this event in mind?
Well, those definitely, that group. But it is available to any veteran.
So if I'm just a veteran and I'm doing fine, I just want a little mullet, that I could come on down to the stand down.
You got it. Come on down.
Okay.
There will be, for those that are in need, there's things like services that will help them hopefully get out of that situation. But there's also, we have sort of donations in kind that organizations have donated, things they might need like tents or toothbrushes or sleeping bags or things of that nature. There's also a military surplus section that they can partake in. And again, that's all free.
Yeah. Well, and one thing that I think is important to touch on, especially when we're talking about, accepting help, is I feel like the same archetype of guy who goes to the military is kind of the same archetype of a person who doesn't want to ask for help.
And that's very true. Yeah.
Yeah. And one of the things that I think is important to highlight, and I hope someone hears this, is, yes, we're a country that, believes in, paving your own path and doing the right thing. And especially like, as a man who's strong and able to get through things, like, yes, that's important. It's important to have that grit. But at the same time, if this helps you get on your feet faster or helps you get in a good spot quicker, then you're not just doing yourself a service, but you're doing a service to everyone in your life that cares about you. Everyone who's helping you currently, whether it's a family member, a sibling, friend, like the faster you're able to get yourself to a spot where you're self-sufficient and you're able to do all the things, like that's the whole goal of what you're doing. You wouldn't be doing it unless you wanted to give those people the help. In fact, those are probably the people you want to help.
Exactly. Yeah. And there's something else to keep in mind on that is those people that are able to ask for help and get out of the situation, then become advocates for the process. Those of us that went in the military, we went in for various reasons, but chief among them was to provide service to our country, service to our community, whatever that may be. And so if you've found the path to getting out of a certain situation, then you can be a good advocate to those that are in that situation to say, hey, look, it's possible. So don't give up hope. And this is how I did it. And maybe you should try that.
Yeah, I would agree. Well, and I think it's like, it's not just, just for the advocacy part, but if you're able to get in a spot where your basic needs are met, your mind thinks differently. You know what I mean? So like, and I bet anyone who's like going through this right now, right? They feel like they can't keep up. Like it's just overwhelming and there's just a lot. And so like, you can't be thinking about how can I protect the people that I love and care about? You can't be thinking about how can I serve my country and serve my community the best way possible if you're too busy thinking about where the heck am I going to live?
Right.
Or what am I going to eat tonight? Or my tooth aches because I have a cavity and I don't have I don't have insurance and I don't have the cash to go fix it.
Right.
And so there's a lot of things where like, if you just accepted the help this one time, or your hair is all shaggy and you want to get it clean, you know what I mean? Like there's something about you being in a better spot yourself and feeling okay, like everything's going to be fine, that then helps you be able to go help others.
Exactly.
Yeah. And so I actually think it's really cool that you guys are doing this.
Yeah. It's we've been doing it for, well, I don't know when it very first started, but we've been doing it for a number of years. I've been a part of the organization for about 5 or 6 years now. So, during COVID times, it was a little more challenging the dark years to get something like that arranged. Yeah. But I think we've come out of that pretty good, and we're in a good place as far as going forward.
Cool. Well, what else is there about this program or this event that you'd like people to know?
Well, the biggest thing is that it's free. These events like this, oftentimes there's the notion that, well, I don't want to go to that because they're going to charge me for something. And that's not the case. This is all free. It's open to any veteran, regardless of their socioeconomic status. And, and in addition, there's a lunch. So we provide food.
There's food?
There's food. Exactly. So there's a lunch provided. And in times past, it's been a pretty good deal. So, in addition to meeting all of these folks, getting financial help, getting help with government organizations, getting a haircut if you need that, you'll be getting a free lunch.
Yeah.
So, if that's really all you need, then this is the place for you.
I love it.
Regardless of anything else.
Yeah, that's awesome. And how could people find out about this? So let's just say someone's listening to this. Where can they find information about it?
Probably the easiest place is our website, servingourveteransathome.org.
Oh, so we're going to put that right here on the screen. And then let's put a link to of it somewhere. Put it in the comments. And yeah, so that would be good. I think that'll be, it sounds like a great event. How many people do you typically have show up?
300-400.
300 to 400.
Yeah.
That's pretty.
In times past, there's been more, but recently, last few years, it's been, 3 to 5.
Yeah. I mean, that's a decent chunk of people.
It is.
I mean, that's more than I thought would be.
Yeah.
And
having it right downtown where other other agencies are, where a lot of the population that we're trying to serve is. That helps quite a bit too. Oh, the one other thing I wanted to mention, we have a shuttle, a DMV shuttle. So for those folks that, don't have current transportation or need DMV services, while we don't have any on site, we will be able to shuttle them to the DMV.
Oh, nice. Oh, you can get DMV services?
Yeah, through a shuttle.
Oh,
So
that's pretty cool. Do you still have to wait in line?
probably. Yeah.
So you should probably do that last, 'cause
Yeah.
you'll be there for like all day.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we can't move you to the front of the line at the DMV, but at least we can get you there.
Which DMV are you taking them to? Because that really determines this, just on the legit.
Right. Yeah. That's not sure.
So you're taking people to DMV, giving them some sandwiches, haircuts, pulling teeth, or fixing teeth. What else you got going on?
So in addition to all of that, we do have sort of a job fair and help with writing resumes. So, part of the way you get out of a situation is if you don't currently have a job, is to get a job. Well, some folks don't have the resources to be able to connect with those potential employers.
Yeah.
And also have trouble filling out a resume, though that may be very good in skills. They're just unsure how to go about that.
Yeah. One thing that I've heard that is pretty common amongst veterans is, how do you tie your military service and what you did to real life citizen, jobs, as I did? Because even when you and I were talking about what you did, right? You said, well, this is what I did, but basically I was doing this, right? And so there's what the military calls it, and then there's what real regular life calls it. And sometimes those are two very different things.
Right.
And then also, how do you talk about the skills and the things that you had in the military in a way that applies to real life? Like, for example, like if you're watching over a couple of crews, that's management experience, but they might not call it that in the military.
Right. They don't, being a non-commissioned officer or sergeant, in other words, you do learn, and they send you to school for leadership and all of that. And I think there's a lot of jobs in the military that have absolutely no equal out there in the private world. Nobody's loading bombs onto the wing of an aircraft, for instance, out in the private sector.
Well, you'd be surprised.
But in order to do that in the military, you need organization skills. You need attention to detail. You need, in some cases, leadership skills. You need to be able to follow direction. There's all sorts of things that you're doing while loading that bomb that do relate to life outside the military in the private world.
Well, yeah, no, totally. And I think that's really important. So when you're talking about like help with a resume, because in college, like I would help a lot of people with their resumes because I happen to be pretty good at it. And one of the things a lot of people don't realize is when you submit a resume to a company, it typically is going through a computer first before it even gets up to a person. And this is where a lot of people mess up because there's a lot of keywords that people are looking for.
Exactly.
Yeah. So typically you kind of want to adjust your resume for every job that you're applying to.
And that's very important.
Ideally. Yeah. But even starting with one baseline resume is a great start.
Mm-hmm.
And so just getting this one baseline resume with wording kind of like what you're saying. If you were loading bombs onto a truck, and unless you have a weird job where you're loading bombs into a truck in regular life, which I hope you don't, then like you were saying, there's the organization, there's teamwork. There's if you're working with other people, there is a lot of safety stuff, right? And how many jobs are there about safety, especially in like construction? That's huge. And so being able to be someone who can deal with a high stakes situation like that, handle it well, be organized, lead people, that's a great employee. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's the sort of employee employers are looking for.
Yeah. But being able to say that in the language that you talked about, because there's one of the things that I really appreciated about going to MBA school was I have the way that I lead my company and the way that like I think, which the way I think is very cavalier. I'm very like Wild West, But that's not the way the world wants me to communicate
Right.
and do business, you know? And so while the way that I like to do things is very innovative and gets things done, sometimes the world wants you to say things a certain way. And you can be mad about that all you want, but it's just the way life is.
Right.
And so when you're doing a resume, it is important to have the specific words in there that people are looking for, that, you know, when you're hiring someone that those people are looking for, because before they even see your face, they're going to be looking at the resume thinking, okay, does this person match what I want?
Right.
So it's important to be able to communicate that effectively.
Right. And, you know, in terms of, and you mentioned it a minute ago about tailoring your resume to a specific job. If you do have that ability and you have the job in front of you, the job description, or at least the job advertisement, a lot of times they're going to have in there the things they're looking for. And using those exact words, if you're able, if you have that skill, the exact wording that they have put into their announcement really goes a long way to getting you past that first hurdle when your resume goes in.
Yep. And then on top of that, right, when you were talking about the job fair part, you know, one would assume that these are all people in companies that are hiring that like to hire veterans.
Exactly.
Yeah. And if these are people who like to hire veterans, then your odds go way up with any of these organizations.
Right.
And so not only are you going to have help tailoring your resume for whatever industry you want to be in, then on top of that, you might be able to get plugged in with a company that does exactly that.
Exactly. And you know, once you start that network going, you know, maybe they didn't have an opening that would fit you, but they might know somebody who does.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's all about that networking. And, you know, if you don't get out there and engage, then, you know, you can't proceed.
Yeah. Exactly. So honestly, if people are going to show up to this thing, like if you don't want a mullet or a sandwich, is it going to be sandwiches? Do you know what lunch is?
I am not really sure what the lunch is, but it'll be
tasty.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you don't want a mullet or you don't want your teeth fixed or that, at least come for the resume and the job fair, because it sounds like that's probably the greatest opportunity there.
That's a huge opportunity.
It's like the opportunity of your future, which is very important.
It is.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. I'm excited to see how this year turns out.
So am I.
Ladies and gentlemen, Kevin Dial.
Hey, hi, Jesse.
Do you want to introduce yourself?
Hey, my name is Kevin Dial. I've been a Salem resident since 2000. I came here for a job with the National Guard. So retired out of the National Guard full-time in the Army National Guard in 2017. That finished a career of 4 years in the Marines and 31 in the Army. So finished out with about 35 and a handful of months after that. But
damn, that's a much better intro than I would have done.
Yeah.
Yeah. You should take over the podcast, honestly.
I got a job. Thanks.
Oh, man. Well, Kevin, thank you so much for coming on. How long have we known each other now?
Since about 2017. So yeah, you said you were running for office first time we met, and that's been a long time. You were a little interested in the military too, and I was still in the military at the time.
So. Yeah, that's right. Well, that's always been like an itch on me, and it's kind of like I haven't done it yet. In fact, I was going to. I actually went to MEPS.
Yeah.
I took ASVAB, killed it, did everything I needed to do, and it was in between my bachelor's degree and my master's degree.
Right.
I was like, okay, guys, I have like a solid 9 months, and I was going to do the program where you go to basic,
right,
and then you finish the rest after college.
Delayed entry. Yep.
Yeah, and I did everything on my end that I was supposed to do, and I was like, okay, I have this window of time. I was like, I am going to my master's program. I'm doing that.
Yeah. I
was like, so can we get it? Can I like leave and go to basic and come back during this time? And they said yes. And I was like, okay, sweet. So I did everything I needed to do. I went and I took the ASVAB. I went out to MEPS, and I had everything. They were ready for me to sign. They even asked me like, when do you want to do the thing? I was like, I'll do the thing as soon as like I'm told I can leave on this date and I can come back on this date. And they said, okay, we can do that for you. And then time came and I was like, you ready? And they're like, nope, not yet. I was like, you ready? Nope, not yet. And then they were like, okay, we're ready. But I was like, guys, I told you exactly. Yeah, I was like, I told you I'm going to school. And they were like acted shocked as if like I was going to put everything on hold. But I knew that if I didn't finish school, I was never going to finish school.
Well, it took me 18 years to get my 4-year degree. So there you are. Yeah.
Yeah. I just knew there was no going back for me. So I was like, I need to crank this out. And it was very important to me that I get that done.
Yeah.
And so now I'm in kind of a spot where like now like I kind of have my company and it's up and rolling.
Yeah.
And in order for me to go to basic, I need to be able to leave for a minimum of 6 months plus my schooling after that. So I need to be able to leave for like what, 9, 12 months.
Yeah. And if you didn't know, the older you get, the harder it becomes. That's a proven.
No, Kevin, I got that dog in me.
Yeah.
You know? I actually think,
Yeah.
let's see, I think I was in better shape when I was like 24, 25. But I'm in pretty good shape right now. I'm in better shape than I've been in a long time. So
And a lot of it is mental. You just got to say, I'm not quitting. And then it pretty much is self-fulfilling.
yeah, exactly. Well, my mental game is way stronger than it's ever been. Yeah. I think especially after I quit drinking, it was like, I feel like unstoppable. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. But I think that like, that's the one thing that besides, so there's 2 reasons why for me, like I would love to serve. One, and the biggest one for me is just like civic duty.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like, you know, like the responsibility to protect the people around me and our community. And it's kind of like, you know, I'm the kind of guy who like I step in when I see things that are wrong and like try to fix them. And I just can't help myself but to do it. And honestly, my life would be way more peaceful if I wasn't that way, to be completely honest.
Yeah.
But so that's something that is important to me. And so like, that's kind of like, even in the back of my mind, I think about it all the time. I'm like, should I just go? But then at the same time, like I need my company to still be existing and here when I get back. So it's kind of hard to.
The sense of justice it's inbred in some people, and it's hard because it's not worldwide. Definitely is an American cultural norm. So
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, I don't know, like we're always like within my tribe, you know, we say that, you know, we're one generation away from our entire culture being wiped out.
you know, forget.
Yeah. And so as I got older, you know, as I was going through office, you know, you kind of saw like a lot of my growth throughout that time. And, you know, when I was younger and I was originally serving, it was like a lot of, like I had the, you know, the greatest intentions and I wanted to help kids, but a lot of like what was driving me was pain. And, you know, it was pain, it was hurt. And there was a lot of like me wanting to fix a lot of the things that are wrong. And I still have that, right? There's still like the pain there, there's still the hurt there, but I'm leading and doing things out of, my goal is now just to get the football in the end zone, right? Because like, it doesn't matter what play we have. It doesn't matter how we run the ball if we don't get the ball in the fucking end zone.
Yep.
And so, you know, and also like, you know, I realized that what banner, a flag you wave doesn't matter.
No.
You know,
Be on a team, you know, and I think that's what a lot of veterans, especially post-service veterans, have that kind of initiative. The ones that want to survive clump together. They build these teams, they build these groups. You know, SOVA, one of the initiatives is Battle Buddies. The local VFW has, every week we have a couple group reaches where we bring together veterans and they eat food and they tell war stories and they connect. And if somebody needs a lawn mowed, somebody knows somebody that mows lawns. And so, you know,
pretty cool.
It really is. It's that kind of connection. It's extended family. It really becomes the family of some people that don't have normal family for either genetic reason or they died or they really have ostracized themselves over time. And so they're rebuilding that through a lot of veteran groups.
Yeah, I think that's really cool. And that's one thing I've noticed because like I've got a lot of friends that are veterans, you know, here in the community. And I love these guys. I mean, that, you know, they stick together. And what I've really noticed is, you know, their political beliefs are very like, doesn't matter. No, it doesn't matter to them, which I love. And that's kind of like, it's what America used to be,
Right.
You know, and I think we've lost a lot of that. But there are pockets that still have it, you know, where it's not about red or blue. It's not about this or that. It's about us helping and serving and protecting each other.
You know, the Army,
Loved ones.
they say, you know, we all bleed green. You know, it doesn't matter if you're black, you're brown, you're yellow, you're red, you're white. I don't care the color of your skin. You're in the green uniform. You're part of my team, and we all bleed green. And so it changes how you interact. And,
Yeah.
you know, when people leave, there was a guy, Sebastian Younger, he wrote a book called Tribes. He also did that movie Restrepo, but he talks about how, again, when Dean was talking, he talks about the isolation that some people do. And if you come back and you crawl into a basement or you crawl into a video game or you crawl away from groups, you become isolated. It does not help your soul at all. It actually creates sickness, and it creates a mental separation from society. You don't see your value anymore.
Yeah.
But everybody has value, and you bring them together in a battle buddies and really say, hey, I need my lawnmower. There are going to be at least 2 or 3 guys or gals that are going to step up and say, I'm going to be over there tomorrow or today, and I'll bring my own mower, and it's a done deal.
Yeah, I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And I think that's one thing that's very different about the veteran community than a lot of communities as a whole. Just because, the fact that, we all bleed green, is kind of something that's really important.
Yeah. And, groups like SOVA, I got involved in SOVA.
What is SOVA?
Serving Our Veterans at Home. That's this group of veterans. Again, we have Air Force vets, we have Army vets, we have Marines. I started in the Marine Corps and I came into the Army and finished up. I don't think Rosie's forgiven me for joining the Army, but, we...
She's a Marine, isn't she?
She is a Marine, yeah. And, it's once a Marine, always a Marine is kind of what they say. And it's true. I'll tell you, many of the values that I learned in Marine Corps Basic in my first 4 years, they were the foundation of my Army career that really, it changed where I landed in the future. So very important that you use all those skills and all those traits that you're trained. And again, they talk about building your toolkit. When you first start out in anything, you're going to have very few tools. You might have a hammer and everything looks like a nail.
Yeah.
That doesn't fix many cars. It doesn't fix many relationships. Sure doesn't teach you how to lead. You got to build those skills, whether it's soft skills or hard skills, to actually develop and be a part of life. And the military does that. A lot of veterans, they like you guys were talking earlier, they don't necessarily step out and translate those directly into a civilian application. And so groups like SOVA, they teach you where to connect. As we talk about our stand down on September 2nd, that's going to be a huge engagement event where veterans come, they can talk to a vet rep, they can actually start their case if they've never been seen by the VA. They can actually start their case, put in an intent to file, and if they do get benefits, it starts on the day you put your intent in. It's huge. The things that we're going to tell them, many of them, they left and they never look back. This is an opportunity to look back and actually get started.
So, yeah, I would say, I guess I have 2 things I want to hit on there. One of them is just the getting started part.
Yeah.
Like there was a time when, I had a bunch of speeding tickets that I got from traffic cameras, right?
Yeah.
And
it wasn't you.
Yeah, it was definitely me. I took responsibility for this. Not even me saying this. The Salem Reporter's probably going to have a heyday. They're like, Jesse Peone. But, I'm all for being real. So, yeah, they can get rocks. I think that, like, and it was really hard. It seemed so overwhelming to, deal with it because I was like, I got to go to all these different courts, and some of them have one court one day a month, and it's on the same day. It was so overwhelming because whenever you're dealing with, like, government stuff or government paperwork, or when you're dealing with, like, how do I get myself out of the spot that I'm in?
Find an expert. And we've got those experts.
Yeah.
Sitting there in an auditorium waiting for them to come ask the question.
Yeah.
Tell me your problem and I'll tell you the answer. I'll show you the path. It's like mentoring. I've mentored a lot of people. I'm helping a young man right now that wants to join the military, and he's bad at math. He is a lot better at math after 6 months of twice a week, him and I sitting at Starbucks doing math.
Yeah.
And you got to get started now, or he'd never, ever get to the point where he's passing math to join the military.
See, and that's what matters, And we have a weird culture where, like, people expect perfection, and it's something that I used to be super anxious about all the time. Like when I was in office, like I was so scared to say anything because I cared about what everyone thought.
Yeah.
And then once you get to the point where you don't really care what people think, it's a lot more relaxing. and what's really interesting about that is it's like, it doesn't matter, like, if people judge you, on the day that you have a bunch of speeding tickets and you're like, you get a letter from the DMV saying you need to freaking fix this, and you're like, I need to really fix this.
Yeah.
Or if it's, you're dealing with, hey, I'm about to be homeless. Like, how do I help get myself out of the situation? Or my freaking tooth hurts because I have a cavity and I don't have the extra cash to go deal with it. It doesn't matter. The pride of that moment is nothing compared to the pride you're going to feel when you're in a much better spot in a wife, your kids, your friends and family, and you're better able to be the best version of yourself for them.
Yeah.
That's what matters.
One of the initiatives that SOVA put together was we supported the Courtney place as they built out. They're under the YMCA, and they're one of the agencies there on Court Street. And they have multiple beds that veterans can actually get into for little or no amount to actually get them off the street if they go into recovery and they're trying to get better. The SOVA group, we actually put $120,000 that we raised and invested over a 5-year period into that. And we're just 5 veterans. Actually, not even all of us veterans. We have a wife of a soldier. Her husband served, and she is on our board, and she's passionate about making sure veterans help. In fact, she started the Tanner Project, which was a local veteran home. And I will tell you, we painted and we hung stuff and we folded blankets and we built beds and we made a difference for veterans. Veterans want to help veterans, but the people that are out there need to ask for the help.
One thing, though, that I find to be crazy, and I don't mean to be negative, but like, I don't understand why our country doesn't do a better job at serving our veterans. It baffles me, right? Because even to get a VA loan, right, on a home, because I've done real estate, right? While you're supposed to accept the VA loan, I've represented people who are veterans. You're less likely to get accepted because they make it such a freaking hassle for the other side, which the other agent probably won't say, like, hey, don't accept this.
Right.
But like they do have to say it. It might take a little bit longer and there's more contingencies and it makes it harder for you to be able to get a house.
Right.
And while the intention behind it is to make sure that veterans are getting a good quality house. That's the kind of the intention, I hope.
And the intent is that veterans that don't have the money down can get into a home loan without money down. That, in my opinion, is probably the biggest benefit of a VA loan. It's the no money down piece.
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
And so like I think that there are good intentions behind a lot of the veteran things.
Yeah.
But there's a negative effects to each one of them, and the fact that like from what I've heard from a lot of my friends that are veterans, it's so stinking hard to get help because like everything you have to jump through hoops, like with the VA to go get like healthcare stuff. I've just heard story after
It's gotten easier. It has gotten a lot easier. I will just tell you, in the last 10 years, a lot easier.
It's good to hear.
And they opened a treatment facility over on McGillcrest here in Salem, Oregon, and you can actually go in and get your audiology appointments. You don't need to go to Portland. What people don't realize is if you do get a Portland appointment and you don't make it, then you become your own worst enemy, because then you get put on this list of you may not get an appointment for 6 months, right? Veterans can cause their own problems. So again, I've never worked at the VA. I don't get any benefit from saying this, but I've been treated very well. And most of the people I know have gotten very good services. But again, they make the appointments, they're on time, they follow through with their end.
Yeah.
And it's hard when you get busy on the outside and you say, hey, but if you don't coordinate it, then you're going to get on not a blackball list, but you're on the less than first of the line list. So,
which does totally make sense, right?
Yeah.
At the same time,
yeah,
I feel like it's a bunch of people who, I mean, I guess some of the jobs you're not putting your life on the line, but especially for people who have been overseas, you know, like you literally left your life, went to another country to help protect the freedom of all of us at home.
Yeah.
And then you come back and it seems like you're chopped liver.
Yeah.
I mean, am I like, I'm not even a veteran.
Yeah. I've had great results. And again, I'm probably not I wouldn't say I'm typical, but I'm probably not atypical either. I think I'm probably, you usually only hear stories when it's bad.
Yeah.
So I'm saying, if it bleeds, it leads.
That's fair.
That's all I'm saying is if it bleeds, it leads. And, you know, when we were in Afghanistan, I was an engineer battalion commander. We built an orphanage. We built 2 check dams to increase the growing season of the local communities by 3 months each. Changed the whole financial dynamics. We built a grain elevator. We built schools.
Our military built an orphanage and a school.
Civil military operations. I bought chickens for the women. I bought sewing machines. We taught classes. I built a trade school that taught 13 different schools, put in a well, put in irrigation, put in flowers, had beekeeping. Afghanistan literally changed the dynamics. You will never hear any of that ever.
Well, yeah, because then we just like left.
Well, it was the same time. We were there in 2010, 11. So it was the same time you were in the surge and we were just about to pull out. We actually started a whole runway. We were building an airport. And
was that the one that you see the video of us taking off and people hanging on the...
You will never see this airport. It never got finished. It literally got turned off as we got it started. So Obama was changing the direction of the nation, and we were on a drawdown while we were there. So, again, different presidencies, different initiatives, and you get different changes of mission. So, yeah, that's fine. Soldiers, airmen, Navy, we all salute smartly and follow the commander-in-chief.
Yeah.
So you follow orders, and you may build it and it may never get used, but you did your job.
Well, one thing I would like to know is I'm very pro-America, right? I want our country to succeed and do well. And I also want us to be good actors in the world.
Yeah.
On top of that, right? It's not just America wins. It's also, I want us to be good humans to the world and treat the world with respect, but also like be strong in our stances. Like if we draw a line, enforce the freaking line.
Yep.
If you're going to draw it,
you
better enforce it. Otherwise, no one's going to think we're not people of our word if we don't. You know what I mean? And so with, keeping that in mind, when administrations change and things like that happen between administrations, what are kind of your thoughts, or what's the thoughts of like a lot of veterans when that happens? Like, for example, like the airport change. And like, for example, I think there's a lot of good that Obama did. I also think there's a lot of good that George Bush did. I also think there's a lot of good that Biden did and Trump. I think every single president, there's good and there's bad. So leaving all that aside, I'm purely looking from, we're starting a project and then all of a sudden there's a new leadership in the country and then everything shifts.
Yep.
How big of a, because you said that you were starting an airport, right? And then all of a sudden you were just done with the airport. How is that perceived by a lot of the local people?
Our local missions never changed. They were under a civil military operations mindset. We actually still were doing agricultural teams and those kind of things. The airport was for military operations. And as we're doing troop drawdowns, trying to leave a nation, the things that were on building military strength were the ones that were turned off. So again, you don't need airports on the eastern border 20 miles from Pakistan. You just really don't. So I don't know that our soldiers, again, you get really good at kind of that accepting philosophy, very stoic,
Yeah.
This is what I can control me. I have no control over the powers above me. So I do me today.
It's funny. I've been reading a lot of stuff about Stoicism. So if you guys haven't, I would actually advise it. I think it's.
I'm in the middle of one right now. So on Stoicism. Yep.
Is it a book?
It is a book. It's on Audible. I couldn't tell you.
What book?
I'd have to look because I couldn't tell you. So I'm actually in the middle of Stoicism 101. I wrote, I just finished Marcus Aurelius's Reflections not long ago. And so again, the ability to live life, whatever you're doing, to live life and know that you're doing the best you can do. And I can worry about the people around me, but I can't control them. I can't control their actions. I will give you opportunities to participate, much like the veterans that come to the stand down.
Yeah.
I'll give you the opportunity to participate. This is the great place to connect. Well, I meant to go there. Well, next year, maybe you'll actually participate, right?
Yeah.
I can't help I meant to, right? I did my part. We put out the resources. We brought the coffee. We brought the donuts. We brought the lunch. We brought the dog groomers. We brought the haircut stylists, right? We bring all these things, and then you have to come. And if you don't, then we did our part, and I can't feel bad about that. I can feel better when I have 500 people than when I have 3. But again, I helped 300 people. There's a story about a farmer it was a winter in the Midwest, and he goes to the local church in the middle of this snowstorm, and he knocks on the door, and he goes in, and the pastor and him are sitting there on the Sunday morning, and nobody shows up. And the pastor goes, well, I guess we won't have service today. And the farmer says, Pastor, let me just tell you, if I open the barn door and one cow comes in, I feed that cow. So we're going to open the barn doors at the YMCA, and we're going to feed whatever cows come through the door. And if one cow comes, we serve one veteran. And if 300 come, we serve them. So that's the thing. I do my part, and I hope that veterans do their part.
Kevin, that's a very good story. I love stories like that.
I feed the one that comes.
Yeah. That's good. That's a very good, sitting on your front porch on a rocking chair kind of story.
Yeah, it's kind of that old soul stoicism thing. Yeah, I know.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's really cool. I think that's a really good approach. And honestly, I hope a lot of people show up.
I do too.
Yeah. And you know what? That's one shift that I have seen that I think is really healthy for us as a country is I feel like we're kind of in a healing stage in a weird way. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like when you see your kid and they're a drug addict, and then you're like, the drugs aren't good for you.
Yeah.
You know, you should get help.
Yeah.
You know, this isn't your life. We went through a big, long phase of rejecting, you know, realizing that, you know, we were not ready to admit that there was something wrong, you know? But then, you know, I think in the past couple years, I think that there's been a desire for stability.
Yeah.
And a desire for, you know, coming together. And we're not doing it perfectly.
No,
We're not, but we are doing it.
there's a lot of people in the middle that want to sit down and have coffee and talk about what we have in common,
Yeah.
not how we're different. I really don't care what color hair you wear.
Yeah.
I don't color. Again, I have a lot of kids. I have 3 bios, 1 adopted, and 10 fosters wards, and others add-ons that have been in my house that call me dad. Each one of them, whatever their life choices, whatever they decide to vote, wherever they decide to live, who they decide to love, that's a them choice. Again, dad has a standard, you know dad's standard, but he'll love you no matter what. I don't think that when we put up those walls and I say, I won't love you because this, that just takes away from me. And I call it planting weeds in my own garden. I don't plant weeds in my own garden. There's enough room for other decisions in their life,
Yeah.
and for them to live a different life than mine.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Now, when they mess up and it goes poorly, I said, hey, I could have told you that was going to happen. I'm not psychic. I'm old and I've seen this path.
Yeah. Well, and I think I agree with you there. And I think what's also interesting to see, because I try to watch all spectrums of the news. And what I've noticed recently is, like, in the last like year or so, right, there's been a pretty big shift. A good way to tell kind of where the country's at is by watching the extremes.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you look at the political thing, and some people are like, "Bleh," when they hear this part of the podcast, but you know, they can kick rocks. It is what it is. I mean, you've seen, like, when you look at like Donald Trump, there's a big difference between Donald Trump his first time and now.
Yeah.
And in the way, and yes, he's still flamboyant and he's still like doing that, right? He is who he is, but the way that he's approaching things is a little bit more different. You know, it's a little bit less, chaotic, and it's a little bit less. I've seen a little bit of a pull towards the middle, and then on the other side, AOC just the other day when was talking about what did she say? She said, "A woke 1.0 was crazy." Which was kind of her doing the same thing of saying that, like, okay, that was a little bit too far. But even though they're both, like, you know, pretty extreme in their own ways, right, it was, I think both of them in their own imperfect way have acknowledged we were a bit much. And then even though they're both, you know, on their ends of the spectrum, it's still like, that was a lot. Let's reel it in a little bit.
Yeah.
And it could be that they just want, you know, but even though, like, I don't really trust either of them, it's still like they're both trying to tailor for politics. But it's still, they're being forced to, right? Even if that is the case, they're recognizing that the country's kind of shifting to not want that stuff anymore.
Yeah.
And trying to shift a little bit more towards the middle.
You know, I worked the wildfire recovery effort after the fires up there. I worked up there for multiple years trying to help people rebuild their lives.
It's about like in Detroit?
Detroit, all the way up and down the canyon, all the way from Staten all the way up into Idana. We had homes that we rebuilt up there, 300 and almost 400 homes that we assisted through case management and different things. And I will tell you, there are people up there, they would say things. And again, I don't ever talk about I believe politics is a third rail. You touch it, you can get fried. So I literally will always live me and do me.
Yeah.
And I know many of them had no idea my political stripe. They would actually have thought that I vote and live like them. But again, I'm not going to tell you, most people, by the time you're after 25, 30, you've already decided your political bent and your path and your course.
Yeah.
You can go a little farther in or farther to the middle, but you're not going to change a whole lot. Yeah. And I'm not going to change you. So again,
you can't change people.
You cannot.
Yeah.
Really cannot.
And once you accept that,
yeah,
life gets a whole lot easier.
It does, unless I bump my head.
Dating gets a whole lot easier. Doing business gets a whole lot easier.
Yeah.
You know, if you're able to accept people as they are.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's... Yeah, but the one thing that we can do, right? And while I can't change who you are or your core beliefs or your perception of reality, that's probably a big one.
Yeah.
Like, if people view the world as like, this is reality, and you start questioning their reality, of course they're going to flip out, because that's how they think the world is. And so there's no point in even having the conversation, because you're questioning the way, like, they think that's a fact. And I think that's what it is. And so who are you to question that?
Yeah.
But what you can do is, and I think this is where we have wiggle room, is we can make the world a kind of a safer place for people to be themselves.
Yeah.
You know, make it like, okay, you believe the world is this way. That's okay. Also, it's okay for them to think the world is this way.
That's right.
And that's also okay. And you know what? We can still work together to make sure that these cows come in the barn.
That's right.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that especially in the veteran community,
Yeah.
you see that politics was just not talked about, you know? And so in all these veteran groups too, some of them they actually have rules against that political leaning. You know, and when you start raising money towards those things, and a true 501c3,
Yeah.
it really can cause you problems financially and regulatorily. So it should, yeah. So, but you know, when we look at SOVA, what we've done with the veteran housing, with the different support services, Dean talked a little bit about that. We are kind of the agency of last choice or last hope. We provide some of that gap funding where you've got a case manager and they've gone to every known agency and resource and they fill out another piece of paper. And then they say, this guy got his bike stolen. Nobody will replace it and he can't go to work tomorrow. They call us and Rosie and the team. We vote on it and we say, buy the guy a bike, right? Hey, this guy got stranded. He's on his way to a job and his car broke down. Buy him a tire, right?
Yeah.
People that need food at Christmas time, you know, we provide food for families. And
cool.
It really is.
I didn't know everything that you guys do. I think that's pretty awesome.
Case managers that are in these different agencies that provide service to veterans, they know that SOVA is that Mid-Willamette Valley agency of last resort. Give us a call, and if we don't have it directly, we will find it or we will provide it.
Yeah, I think that's really important because, I mean, that's the entire point of, services, right? I mean, anything from welfare programs to Medicare to Medicaid, like any of those programs, the whole entire point of them is to be a safety net and pick you up when you're falling down. That's the entire purpose. But at the same time, a lot of those safety nets have holes in them, which is why nonprofits exist, right? To be able to pick up those holes and those pieces. And that's why I think it's really cool that you guys are doing that because, you know, how often is it? I mean, I think we've all been in a point of our lives where you blow a tire and you $0 in the bank account, you know, or, you know, something comes up that you're not expecting and you're just trying to make it through the day.
Yeah.
And so it's really cool that you guys are there and that you're able to provide those kinds of services for veterans because, you know, if they're in a spot where, you know, they're trying to just make ends meet and be a human.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes humaning can be hard and, you know, life can happen. And it feels like sometimes it can feel like the world's kind of not working in your favor. And it's cool to be able to have help when you need it.
Help. And when we talk about SOVA, we give a 94% return rate. So of every dollar that we've ever collected, 94% goes back directly to a veteran. And we don't have anybody paid. We don't administer anything. We have a website. We do some administrative services and we do our taxes. And that's about all we pay for out of the money that we gain. We definitely encourage people to go to our website, servingourveteransathome.org, and they can sign up to do a monthly donation. And when we first started out, Rosie will tell you most of it came out of the pockets of the board members. We would just throw a hat around and it. You need $100, we'll find $100. You need $200, we'll start picking up cans. You know, we always were able to meet the need. A couple years back, we actually had somebody donate part of an estate to us, and that was how we were able to raise part of the $120,000 that went to Courtney Place. And it was only supposed to be $100,000, but then they told us they weren't going to have a flagpole, and a veteran group without a flagpole didn't seem right. So
no, that doesn't seem right.
We found another $20,000. You know, that becomes the heart of the association of the people that are on our board.
Yeah.
That they want the best for veterans. We want something that they can be proud of as well.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah.
And so I guess I didn't realize how you guys started. When did you guys start?
2007, I think it was. Wayne Crowder, he was a resident of Polk County, lived out there, and he was doing the pit count, the point in time. And they were going out and counting people in the byways and highways and in the woods.
Yeah. So just so people can understand, it's the
point in time
count.
Yep.
Is the count that they do to survey
homelessness. Right.
Yeah, because then you have an idea of how many homeless people are in the area.
Yeah.
Who are they?
And Wayne found that a huge percentage of them were veterans.
What percentage?
Like it was like 50% almost, 35, 50%. It was a huge portion of the ones he interviewed. I think he said he did like 15. It's on our website, our story on our history. And he said there were like 7 of them that were veterans. And that that held his heart, right? And so he started a 501c3. Now, Wayne he actually started picking veteran services because he got dementia later in life, and I think he's since passed, but he was our originator, and he built this and then built a team of board members that had a heart for veterans that were willing to shell out money out of their own pocket to make a difference. And so, I came on board in about 2017 after I retired. So I've not been here that long, but not compared with people like Rosie.
I mean, 2017, that was almost 10 years ago.
Yeah. Unbelievable.
That's a long time.
Yeah.
It seems like it was just yesterday.
It was.
Yeah, it was just yesterday.
It was.
It's just about.
It was.
Dang. Well, that's pretty awesome. It seems like, you've been doing this for quite a while, and it seems like you guys are having a big impact.
Yeah, we don't even keep track of the stories of all the stuff that we have done, which again, that's probably on us. We do things like we do camps where we'll take guys fishing, and we'll do things like take them over to the horse camp in Central Oregon.
Yeah.
We support a surfing group, and we help them get grants, and we help pay for it and get them vans, and they go teach veterans how to surf.
That's cool.
We've got involved with disc golf. They're just whatever we can find that needs money, that needs help, that needs administration, needs support, that supports veterans. We're all about that.
Yeah.
There's a veteran that lives out in the Rick Real area that's got a piece of property, and he's looking to maybe build it into a veteran, like a stand-down place where somebody can get off the grid and maybe just take a night camping under the stars next to a pond. So we're in the process of seeing if that might work for us. There's some legal, because it's a working farm, and us donating to a working farm as a 501c3. We've got a lawyer. And so again, we want to make sure that we are there in 100 years, not us, but somebody that we're passing the mantle to. And we're looking for our replacements too. So veterans that hear your program that are interested, we'd love to talk to you. Be a part of us.
Hear that? Kevin's trying to get replaced. So
I am replaceable. I tell you, when I retired, the guy that followed me, he again moved out all my furniture, changed everything I did, and went on a different direction. And again, that's fine. We're always looking for replacements. Well,
but you'll still be involved even if you.
Absolutely. Yeah. The team that we've had, we've all been there. We even have our own financial advisor that's been the real big part of this. He came on board. He's an Army vet. He gave us super low administration rates, like the minimum the company would charge us. And then we have basically every donated dollar that we've ever had has been in there.
Yeah.
We now have as many dollars as we've donated over the last 10 years. So he's put us on the path of financial stability so that, again, we're doing some financial accountability, and we will have this. This will be beyond our point in time.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
It is.
So whoever takes your place, do they also get to have your furniture?
We don't have furniture. We don't have an office. I know, right? Yeah.
After furniture that comes with this.
No furniture. And in fact, sometimes it'll cost you money, but it'll be the best job you've ever not been paid for.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for what you do, Kevin, and and for being a part of that SOVA.
SOVA. Yep. Serving our vets at home.
Yeah. Thank you for doing that. I think that's really cool.
Yeah.
And especially as I've learned more about what you guys are doing, that's really important. And it's kind of like what a lot of nonprofits should be.
Yeah. And, if somebody really wants to see what the stand-down looks like, our website, servingourveteransathome.org, has a video. It's a little long. It's about 5 minutes. You got to listen to me for part of it. You got to listen to Rosie. But you also hear about the veterans. You hear from Congressman Salinas' team. You hear from some of the other veterans that are there. Yeah. And they are there to help veterans. And that's a great video. I will tell you, if that doesn't make you want to come and visit us and be one of those cows that come and get fed, nothing will.
Yeah, nothing's made me want to be a cow more.
Yeah.
Well, if you guys don't mind, I could just put it on the end of this.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Does that feel cool?
Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you guys want to see the video, just keep watching.
Yeah.
We'll just throw it on here and you guys can watch it.
It's the best thing ever.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Be a part.
And of course, just to remind people, the event is going to be on September 2nd, correct?
Correct. 9 o'clock to 3 o'clock.
Yep.
And lunch is in the middle of the day, and it runs a little long usually. We do have coffee. I know the last couple of years, Starbucks has brought over coffee and tumblers and cookies and muffins and oatmeal. So I'm not sure if they're ponying up again this year. I hope
cake pops. Are they bringing cake pops?
They didn't bring any cake pops. No, they did not.
We gotta negotiate with them, man. Well, I think that's really cool. So just to reiterate for people, on September 2nd from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m.,
Correct.
you can come down to the local YMCA downtown Salem.
685 Court Street.
That one.
That one.
And, you can do everything from there's going to be dental. You can get your hair cut. If you want a mullet, which would be my piece of advice, that's my contribution to this. You can get a mullet.
Job fair.
Yep. There's going to be a job fair. There's going to be people helping you with your resume.
Yep.
There's going to be like other services, like you said, like tents, if they're needed.
Yeah. Department of Veterans will be there and they'll help you with your claim. If you have any kind of questions about your claim, they'll give you advice. There are people that have homeless search services. Again, there are also people that help you get into long-term care. We have people that teach guitar lessons. It'll give you a free guitar. When
You can learn guitar lessons
you can learn
and get a free guitar.
and if you don't miss a class and you finish up. Yeah.
That is insane.
Yeah. That was a really good one last year. For the last couple of years, they've been there. And again, that's another thing that we help because they don't get funded, but we help find funding and administer some of the stuff that goes with them.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
God,
So-
you guys can be the next Eddie Van Halen and you don't even know it.
We don't promise that.
Dude, is it in the contract?
It is not in the contract.
You can get a mullet and be Eddie Van Halen. That's exactly what Kevin said.
Yeah.
And I quote him on it. So anyways, well, Kevin, thank you so much for
Jesse, you bet.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I
Thank you for the
appreciate it.
time.
Of course. And guys, thank you so much for listening to the Salem Business Journal podcast. And again, I want to thank Spirit Mountain Casino and Collier Law for making this possible. Appreciate you guys. And see you September 2nd.